Have you any idea how deluded you sound?
What?
Like a knight in shining armor on a noble steed, Gordon Ramsay has spent years traveling across the United States, valiantly saving restaurants and diners from the brink of bankruptcy by giving them the people skills and culinary finesse required to run a successful one. As well as helping out the owners and staff of these restaurants with his show, Ramsay has also given us a show that is darn good fun to watch. People freak out and get mad and grow, and it's spectacular. So here are the top 10 untold truths about Kitchen Nightmares that you won't get from just watching it.
You are so in denial. You need therapy.
You may recognize the Kitchen Nightmares opening title theme. The opening title theme from the show is actually an old classical song that has a lot of history, Misirlou. It's a traditional song from the Eastern Mediterranean region. The earliest recording of it is from 1927, the sound of which was influenced by the music of the Middle East. It has since been covered by Martin Denny, the Beach Boys, the Ventures, Consider the Source, and the Trashmen. It was also sampled by the Black Eyed Peas for their song Pump It. You probably recognize the more popular recording from 1962, a surf rock version by Dick Dale, since that's the one that Gordon Ramsay has used for his opening title sequence, the one where he has knives thrown at him and then throws a knife at the camera, supposedly shattering our screen. And it's also the one that Quentin Tarantino used for the cool opening credits of his darkly comic crime masterpiece, Pulp Fiction. It plays right after Pumpkin and Honey Bunny begin robbing a diner and kicks off one of the most killer soundtracks in film history. These uses have all helped the song to become one of the most recognizable in all of popular culture. Hope you always recognize us. Hit that subscribe button and ding the bell so you never forget and never miss out.
My FOMO's through the damn roof.
What's a FOMO?
Kitchen Nightmares has taught Gordon a lot about international cuisines.
Empanadas. Got that nice authenticity to it.
Gordon Ramsay does a lot of interviews to promote the show, and during one of them with a handful of reporters, he was asked what he had learned from doing the show. And surprisingly, he said that the thing he has learned the most about is international cuisines. It's certainly a vast and interesting world. He explained that there's nothing quite like the research and authenticity that goes into a real ethnic restaurant. Rather than going to some fancy, high-budget restaurant where things are needlessly expensive and complex, Gordon appreciates a real classic meal. He doesn't want kitchen equipment akin to a Rolls-Royce. He just wants an authentic trip into international cuisine.
Bloody hell.
It is? Nothing gives me more pleasure than seeing someone eat and saying bloody hell.
Kitchen Nightmares made Gordon tone down his swearing.
I'm lost for words. It's okay, sorry, okay, stop.
Gordon Ramsay has always been known as the chef with the foul mouth who uses a lot of swear words. It certainly hasn't made him any friends. Fellow celebrity chef Delia Smith has gone so far as to say that with all of his swearing, Ramsay is a disgrace to the culinary world. When he was asked about the rampant swearing on his show in an interview with The Guardian, he dropped an F-bomb. But then he explained that his excessive use of bad language in the show has gotten him to reflect on his swearing and tone it down. He saw a compilation video where each F-bomb was counted across several Kitchen Nightmares episodes, and he said the expletive 298 times. He wasn't proud. Now he says he's no longer proud of being the foul-mouthed bully chef. He doesn't want some kind of radical change where he has to suddenly act all prim and proper either, but there's a time and a place for outrageous cursing. Don't change too much, Ramsay. We love you just how you are.
Get the out of there!
All of the restaurants featured in Kitchen Nightmares Season 2 closed down.
I'm closing the place down. Switch it off.
Over the course of 7 seasons of the show, it was determined that 60% of the restaurants that were featured eventually closed down. No matter what Chef Ramsay came in and did, whether it was changing the look of the place or changing the menu or even changing the staff, those restaurants were still doomed and still had to close their doors. It's thought that Season 2 of the show is cursed because all of those restaurants closed. While 90% of the restaurants featured in Season 1 eventually had to shut their doors, and Season 3 had a closure rate of 75%. Season 2 boasts an astounding 100% rate of failure. There were 12 episodes in the second season of the show, although one of them was a revisited special, going back to check up on the progress of a restaurant that Gordon already made over in the first season. So there were 11 restaurants in Season 2. Cafe 36, Fiesta Sunrise, Jack's Waterfront, J. Willie's, Trobiano's, Handlebar, Sante La Brea, Sabatielo's, Hannah and Mason's, Black Pearl, and Giuseppe's. And they all closed within a couple of years of being featured on the show.
As I predicted, the Black Pearl is closed. Kaput, finished. Damn.
The Kitchen Nightmares title comes from a Gordon Ramsay outburst.
This is a nightmare, you know that?
Gordon Ramsay is known for his angry outbursts on the job. While he was shooting the pilot episode of the show, he had one of his signature sweary outbursts that ended up giving the series its title. The producers were not sure what to call it. They had a few names under consideration, like Kitchen SOS and Ramsay to the Rescue, but they weren't really happy with any of them, and they wanted to come up with something new that sounded snappier and fresher. They were still struggling with it when it came to the time of the follow-up visit to the restaurant. The restaurant featured in the pilot episode was called Bonaparte's, and usually during the follow-up visit, Ramsay gets to congratulate the restaurateurs for taking on his advice and shaping up, and finally having a super efficient and successful restaurant. But with Bonaparte's, that wasn't the case. When Ramsay found out that the restaurant was in even worse shape when he came back to it than when he had first arrived to help them, he yelled out,
This is a living nightmare.
The producers loved the nightmare thing, and it gave them a title to use.
I was living an absolute kitchen nightmare.
Gordon Ramsay has noticed a shift in the reality TV landscape since he started.
And you have to embrace change.
Although he is really a chef at heart, it's hard to deny that Gordon Ramsay's real job is that of an entertainer. He's a TV star who has presented a ton of his own reality shows, from competition series to more Ramsay-centric shows like this one. He said in an interview with Deadline that he's noticed a shift in the reality TV landscape in his day. He's said that viewers are so much savvier now than even a few years back. It's more important than ever to respect the integrity and intelligence of the viewers. Given our ever-decreasing attention spans, making things more vibrant and bringing in more realism is key. Ramsay goes on to talk about how high-octane sets used to be, but now people don't want fake and glamorous. However, he says the most essential thing about running his show isn't tactic. It's about not taking anything for granted.
I got off my ass, I stopped feeling sorry for myself, and I got on with it.
Some of the subjects on Kitchen Nightmares have accused the producers of misrepresenting them.
I've never met a general manager so as you.
As with pretty much any reality TV series or documentary, the subjects of Gordon Ramsay's show have often criticized the producers for supposedly misrepresenting them in the edit. It is said that editing, if it's done in a certain way, can make you look, well, really bad. But if there is footage of you doing something, then you did it. There's no getting around that. Still, in a couple of cases, some of Ramsay's subjects have objected to the way that they were portrayed. Martin Hyde of the Indian restaurant Dylan's in New York actually tried to sue the producers in 2007 when he claimed that the show was edited to make him look like an angry boss and a lazy idiot, and that the satisfied customers who came into his restaurant after Ramsay's makeover were actually just extras who the producers had hired. He said that his restaurant's biggest earner of revenue is its cabaret bar, which the producers apparently refused to film. Hyde said, "I'd love people to be able to see the unedited footage. Gordon called me a fake, but the whole show is a fake. The lawsuit was eventually thrown out by a judge, so make of that what you will."
You're such a fake.
Not fake, and just... Why are you saying I'm a fake?
Ramsay has figured out the pattern of why restaurants fail.
Whether you like it or not, you have given up.
After spending so much time at failing restaurants and fixing them, Gordon Ramsay has noticed a pattern in what makes restaurants fail. He explained that once restaurants open, they tend to become static and forget to fight. They're just stuck in a time warp, going through the motions. But the key to a successful restaurant is staying ahead of your customers' wants and needs. A restaurant needs to continually evolve, not settle into complacency. You need to work up new ideas, keep the staff on their toes, and definitely keep your finger on the pulse of what other restaurants in a 5-mile radius are up to. Knowing your competition is a key factor to any successful business.
This restaurant can be a success.
The Kitchen Nightmares end credits contain two very telling disclaimers.
Here's a disclaimer. I didn't read this disclaimer.
In the end credits of every episode of Kitchen Nightmares, there are two telling disclaimers that shed some light on the way that each episode is made. The first one says this: the producers may have provided customers at the restaurant with a financial contribution towards the cost of their meal. So when the Gordon Ramsay makeover of the restaurant and its menu gets some buzz around town and attracts customers to the place until it is fully booked, what is really happening is that the producers are paying people off to come in. The second disclaimer says this: the footage shot in this program has been edited such that in places it is shown in a different time sequence than actually shot. So some of the reaction shots of people are taken from different points and aren't actually genuine reactions to whatever happened right before it. Or some outbursts aren't directly related to some things that some people said. Since this is reality television and those kinds of practices are used all the time, it's hardly surprising that the show isn't entirely honest in its editing. But it will change the way that you watch the show and cause you to watch it with a grain of salt.
Is he allergic to salt?
No.
The infamous Amy's Baking Company has since shut down.
The customer is not always right.
Gordon Ramsay has had to deal with a lot of terrible restaurateurs in his day. Some of them have been incredibly stubborn in thinking that their food is fine just the way it is, and that the customers are the ones who are wrong. But few of them, maybe none of them, have been quite as terrible and quite as stubborn as the proprietors of Amy's Baking Company. They threatened to stab their customers.
You sus! Go! You
Responded viciously to negative online reviews, stole tips from their own employees, and kicked people out if they dared to criticize the food. There have been very few times that Gordon Ramsay has found people to be so stubborn that they are beyond help, but in this case, he walked out. Well, it should come as no surprise that in 2015, a couple of years after Ramsay gave up on Amy's Baking Company, the restaurant closed down. They posted on their social media accounts to announce the end of the restaurant, with a black and white image of the sky marked with the words, "The End." Although the caption reads, "Or is it the beginning? Hashtag Amy's Baking Company, hashtag moving on up." Let's be honest though, it probably is the end. Beginning or end, up or down, it's easy to join our notification squad. Just click that subscribe button and tap that bell. And stick around. Click on one of our other great Ramsay videos.